If you've been looking at selling or just thinking about a career change, you might have been wondering what exactly does a business broker do? Well, in this short video, we'll chat about the main services that they offer, plus the skills and the knowledge that they usually require to conduct that services. So when it comes time to sell, you can really know what to look out for when choosing a business broker. Okay, so first up, let's start with skill set. Whilst there aren't any formal qualifications required for a business broker, there are a number of skills that one should really possess in order to conduct their services in good manner. Firstly, a really good understanding of reading financial statements is essential. On top of that, you can then also get strategic analysis. So if a broker is looking at the industry or understands the industry or the operations of the business, knowing what a buyer will be hoping to achieve when acquiring this business will really help them communicate the business better with that buyer. In addition, the broker should have a pretty good understanding or grasp on the contract period and what sort of happens when it goes to settlement, because there's no point negotiating some clauses and terms and setting up a deal just for one of the solicitors to completely dismiss it and advise against it happening. It really turns that contract stage into what is usually a tricky period in the beginning to extremely sort of turbulent area of that deal. And a lot of businesses and deals fall over in that part. So you want to do your best to help that deal go as smoothly as possible at the contract stage. However, probably the most significant skill that a broker can bring to the table when listing and selling your business is simple people management. Is people skills and project management. You're not just dealing with one buyer, you're dealing with the seller, their accountant, their solicitor, the buyer, the buyer's accountant, the buyer's advisors, could be family members, financial planners, buyer's solicitor as well. So you're gonna end up having about 10 up to 10 parties trying to get them to agree on the whole deal itself. So, one-on-one is easy enough, but 10 people all agreeing can get quite tricky. So good people skills is imperative in that situation. Now, take these core skills and couple that with experience, and you'll have a business broker that can really serve their clients well when selling the business. So we've covered skills. Now look at some of the services that a broker can offer. Usually they're all going to be selling agents, but generally you can get some brokers that are acting as buyer's agents. They can be doing exit planning work with their client. They can be conducting valuations, and simply they could be sort of commercial mediators when you have an internal buyout between, say, an employee and the owner. And just having that third party in there allows a little bit of space between them to, look out for any sort of possible items that might be detrimental if not dealt with properly. So it allows all parties to continue on what they do best, which is running the business, running the company, and a smoother transition into that internal buyout. Now, since the majority of brokers act as selling agents, we'll cover more about what that is in this video, and act buyers agents and valuations we can do at another time. So to start with, the broker has the same relationship with the owner as sort of what a real estate agent might do with their selling a property. There's a lot of differences. The major one is the time. What might take a couple of weeks in real estate can take 6 months, 12 months, even a couple of years in the listing and selling of a business. There's also a lot more parties involved. So there's a number of reasons why it takes a lot longer. There's far less buyers also, but that's the general idea, that the broker acts as the agent and handles the sale on behalf of the seller. So once the broker prepares the business, there's a lot more to do preparing the business for market than, say, a property or a house or commercial. You'll go into listing and then you have the business on the market. The broker will start talking to the buyers on your behalf and then negotiating and getting a little bit of feedback for each buyer, because every buyer is going to be different with what they want to know. But once a buyer's gone through all the information available and answered a few questions, it's probably the time that they can have a meeting with the seller, and the broker will organize this, brief the seller on who this buyer is, what angle they're coming at, and try and answer their questions as honestly and helpful as possible. That will be because there'll be some items that the seller would just know far more about than the broker itself, and that will be sort of the nuances within the business that only an owner really knows after years and years and years of running it. So after you've been on the market for some time, the offers will come in and the broker can discuss those offers with the seller, go back and forth, and we'll get some type of, broad agreement on the terms of the sale to our price. We might have a handover period. We might have conditions such as it has to be a lease assignment, or there's visa requirements, or there's due diligence, and then any number of other conditions that will be held on that contract, because the industries vary so much on what might be considered essential condition in one industry might not even be applicable in another industry. So the broker will understand all what are standard conditions for that industry, and we'll have those fairly well agreed on at a reasonably high level. And then once we go to settlement stage, the solicitors will really dig into those conditions and draft them in a manner that is suitable for contract. Now, once we do go to contract, this can be a part where the deal can get really bogged down. Often some brokers might just think it's all done and dusted and let the solicitors figure it out. What they really should be doing is being on top of every single correspondence, conditions back and forth. More often than not, I'll have to jump back in and get the buyer and seller back into a meeting because they're starting to accumulate huge legal bills. And we could probably figure out and agree on a number of items that have been proposed in the contract in a couple of hours, as opposed to taking weeks and weeks and, thousands and thousands, up to tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. So that's why the broker really comes in handy. That's the people skills again, and project management as well. Because the biggest deal killer, especially at this stage, is what's called lag. Lawyers, accountants, and greed. I've heard too many stories from different buyers and sellers over the years, that say the last time they may have bought or sold a business, it got to contract stage, the broker had moved on, not to be seen again. The solicitor fees went through the roof, the deal collapsed entirely, and everyone was left there just holding a huge legal bill with no real progress. And a lot of those times just could have been avoided through project management. So it's really important to stay on top of the deal the whole way through until settlement, until the money is in your account, or effectively the business is in your name. And it's a great outcome for both parties. So that's a really high level and brief overview of what exactly it is that a business broker does. Hopefully that's shed a little bit of light for you if you're thinking of selling your business. If you want to get in touch, email me, you can call me direct, or go onto my website and you can book time for a strategy call, and we can go through a few items that might help you decide on when is best to sell your business so you can get the best price in good time and without stress. Okay. I'm Mick Godwin. Thanks for listening.